next speaker has come all the way from very southern Brazil to visit with us, Dr. Daniel Albanese. Daniel is a professor at the Community University of the Chapaco region in the south of Brazil in a state called Santa Catarina. He has a lot of experience in mosquito vector ecology, and he's also one of the world-renowned experts on Toxorhynchides species. So those are our biological control agents. A lot of his work has focused on predator-prey interactions in mosquitoes and mosquito ecology. We have a long working history together, and he's going to just talk to you today. This is more of a special topics talk, showing you how pest control can present very different challenges in developing countries and countries that have different sort of laws, regulations, and infrastructure. So I hope you enjoy the talk.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys understand my accent? I hope so. If you don't understand everything, you can be more than welcome to stop me and ask any kind of questions. So I work with mosquito ecology, especially with larvae. Okay? And larval environment is very hard to work with, especially because you don't know the real effects of any kind of control on larvae. And all of Nick talked about that a lot 2 days ago. Everything that happens with the adult mosquito, it comes from the larval environment, the amount of energy that the larvae gets. And I'm not here to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about the mosquito control in Brazil and the challenges and solutions that we have. And of course, before I talk about mosquito control, I'm going to introduce you my country. This is Brazil. It's the largest country in South America. The territory is about 3.2 million square miles. And the population is about, according to the last census, which was done 10 years ago, it's 208 million people. So we all together in this green area that's not that green nowadays anymore, a lot of this deforestation and pollution and whatever every country has. São Paulo is the largest city. It's also the home for over 12 million people, and it's the most populous city in the Southern Hemisphere. And if I can recall, it's the 5th largest city in the world. So it's a really big place. It's the economic heart of Brazil. And of course, the second most known place in the country is called Rio de Janeiro. And I'm sure that you guys have heard about that a lot. Rio is a tourist place, it's a tourist location. It's well known to have the extraordinary beaches. And Carnival is a party that's similar to Mardi Gras here in New Orleans. But the difference is that it's only 4 days. And it happens in between February and March. It depends on the year. And of course, we have Amazon forest, which is the largest tropical forest in the world. It's at least 70% of the forest. It's on the Brazilian territory. And we also have a lot of tourist hotspots in really beautiful places, such as like Bonito. It's a place located at the central area of the country. This is like a natural aquarium. If you go there, you can dive in the water. You're going to see lots of different fish species, and it's really beautiful. That's Serra do Cipó in Minas Gerais state. It's my hometown state, the place I was born. It's a really beautiful area called Cerrado. It's like a Brazilian savanna. That's Jalapão in Tocantins, which is a really nice place too. So we have a lot of beautiful places, and which makes you think that Brazil, at the first look, it seems like it's a really organized place, and it is, a big portion of it. But we also have a lot of things that I'm going to introduce to you right now, which makes the mosquito control really difficult in the country. That's my hometown right now, the place where I live. It's Chapecó. It's a town located in the south part of the country, and that's where my university is. That's where I do my research. And of course, we have a lot of problems with mosquitoes too. But I would like to invite you to take a closer look at the country. I'm going to start with Rio de Janeiro, which is the tourist place in the country that everybody wants to go. That's a Rio de Janeiro look to a different angle. Okay? When you look at this angle, you're not going to see like really nice landscape. And that's pretty much how the houses are displaced on the city. But they don't show you that on the TV, of course. And I'm going to invite you to take a closer look. Do you guys have an idea what kind of thing is that?
Water?
It's a water container. We call water boxes. And pretty much, if you go to a Brazilian house, if somebody invites you to go to their house, you're going to see a thing like that. It's usually hangs out at the roof part, and the treatment water companies, they treat the water, but the water doesn't go straight to your faucet. It goes, we need to store the water in this kind of boxes. Every single house built, public departments, everything, hotels, everything is going to have one thing like that. If you look at this landscape here, especially these house roofs, you're going to see a lot of these blue things. It can be gray too. Sorry, I have it can be gray, and that's a decent amount of the problem that we have. Because most of the times, people cannot control the mosquitoes that raise in this kind of environment. You know, it looks like it's insane, but that's exactly what it is. And most of it is because the things on the roof, the public agents that are doing the inspection, they cannot reach this place. So we try to put like screens, we try to put like mosquito fish and things like that, but we're talking about millions and millions of houses. So it's hard to deal with. Okay? So as I said, this water box supplies water for daily home use, and pretty much all the houses have one of that. And that's a main problem. This is a scenario we find in most of the neighborhoods in Rio de Janeiro, so it's not that organized. We have a lot of places that can work at mosquito breeding place. So I'm going to tell you shortly about the Brazilian story. That's a typical Brazilian neighborhood. Don't see that on TV too. So Brazil was colonized by Portugal, and they arrived there on April 22nd, 1500, so more than 500 years ago. And of course, they brought a lot of people to work in the country and a lot of stuff. And the Egypti showed up. It is Egypti, which is our main vector disease in the country nowadays, showed up in the country like more than 500 years ago. And we've been dealing with Egypti since then. And of course, there was a time in the 1940s that we eradicated Egypti from the country, but it was reintroduced in the 1960s again, and it's been there, it's been around, and we have a huge population. And what is the main problem we have in the country? Well, nowadays, having this vector everywhere, the main problem, actually have three main problems. We have Zika virus, we have chikungunya virus, and we have dengue virus. All of the three kinds of viruses are really dangerous for you. It can lead to death, especially dengue, that's been killing a lot of people every year. So dengue virus infects millions and kills hundreds of people in Brazil every year. And that's a graph that shows you, it's a historical series of 20 years from 1994 to 2014. And the red line here shows you the number of dengue cases. And so we have some variation among the years, but we have like the cases are increasing. And the graph B shows you the same thing, but number of deaths. So we have a really high number of deaths, between 2008 and 2013. I don't have the data for nowadays, but I have the data for 25 years, from 1990 to 2015, and shows you the number of people that get checked into the hospital from this period. And what you see is that the red line shows you the number of people that got checked into the hospitals, and the gray bar shows you the kind of virus type we had in that year. So what you see here is exactly the same part. We have the thing is increasing as the years go by. We don't have for nowadays 16, 17, 18, 19, but it's probably coming up shortly. So one would say, do you effectively control mosquitoes in Brazil? The answer is yes, we do, or at least we should, we try. And I'm going to introduce you the main methods that we do there and how we do it. So those are the mosquito control methods. The physical control, we have a team, every city has a team of like 40 or 50 people, depends on the size of the city, that go to the house and they do house inspections. So